All right, good evening. I'll call the meeting to order at 7:20 p.m. The first order of business is to select a moderator. Are there any nominations for moderator?
I nominate Michael Pelton for moderator.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations?
I move nominations be closed.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Moderator.
I will now read the call of the meeting, the legal notice. Legal notice of special meeting, special town meeting, Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 7:20 p.m. Buck Foreman Community Room, 265 Main Street, Portland, Connecticut, 06480. Pursuant to Section 503G of the Town Charter, a special town meeting will be held by the Board of Selectmen on Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 7:20 in the Buck Foreman Community Room, 265 Main Street, Portland, Connecticut, for the following purpose. Be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby approves an increase in estimated revenue number 08-141-000-00114 of federal grants and a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $169,480 in line item 08-141-000-89010. Board of Education System-Wide Board of Ed Technology Upgrades. Dated this 25th day of April, 2022, attested by Ryan J. Curley, First Selectman. I would ask the clerk to include the call of the meeting and the return of notice with the minutes of the meeting. Is there a motion to introduce the resolution entitled Supplemental Appropriations System-Wide BOE Technology Upgrades and Increase to Federal Grants?
I move to introduce the resolution.
All right, Ryan makes the motion,
I'll second.
and a call for discussion. Any discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion to move to the question?
I move to the question.
Second that motion.
And let's make the vote, please.
Okay, so if you could just put yes or no and put in the box.
Wait, we got another vote coming. This minute, now this meeting will last another 20 seconds. Moderator, typically the moderator, can you count the votes?
Absolutely, I would love to count the votes.
Thank you.
Well, yes, it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 yeses? All right.
All right. The vote count is 9 yeses, 0 noes, 0 abstentions. So it passes. All right. Is there a motion to close this meeting?
We close the meeting.
Any second? There's always that guy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Time of adjournment,
7:20.
7:24.
One did I last?
And how many people do we have?
How long's the budget meeting?
2, 4, 6, 8, 12, including you? 13, right? 14?
I didn't think 13 was Tom, because Tom, Charles,
Okay,
and then I don't think these guys over here voted yet.
got
A
it.
couple more years.
All right. That's it?
Mike, you voted, right?
I did, oh yeah.
Is everyone ready, guys? The time is 7:30, and I'll now call this meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all please rise? And before we begin, I would like to have a moment of silence for Rosemary Dean, and who was found today, and her family. His remains were found. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And certainly our thoughts and prayers are with the family of Rosemary Dean, and very unfortunate, very sad. I have a couple changes on the agenda tonight. There is a typo on fourth quarter transfers. It should read BOE, School Lunch Fund, not BOS, School Lunch Fund. I would also like to add, after item 6, under public comment, I would like to add the Finance Director's report. So that will be number 7, and then the Complete Streets Group will be number 8, and so forth on down. So, we were just adding to the agenda, so we can, so there's a typo on item 8, so fourth quarter transfers, it should read BOE, School Lunch Fund.
Okay, yep.
And after item 6, there'll be a new item 7, which is the Finance Director's report, his monthly report.
Okay.
And then the Complete Streets Group will be number 8. So,
Okay.
with that.
And then remember.
Mhm. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
Say as amended.
Oh, as amended, thank
As
you.
amended, sorry.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. The next item is the approval of the minutes from the regular Board of Selectmen meeting on April 20th, 2022. Have you all been able to review those? All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you both. Is any errors, changes, omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. 5, communications and correspondence. I believe our Public Works Director, Bob Shea, is joining us remotely tonight. If we can put Bob on, I believe Bob has an update on the upcoming paving along Glastonbury Turnpike, or Route 17. And thank you, Bob. Would you like to give us an update?
You're welcome. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I thought it was important to, Mike Lestrina and I, my lead man, attended a meeting at DOT on yesterday morning in regards, or related to the pre-construction or the resurfacing of Route 17 in Portland, which has been planned for a few years, and unfortunately, for many reasons, was delayed, and they'll be finally getting to it this year, sooner than later. Actually, the milling will start Monday. This project is going to run from the Four Corners here in Portland all the way to Water Street, which is in South Glastonbury. As you can, if you travel that road now, you can see that there's an awful lot of catch basin work being done by the state to get ready for this project. Milling, which will be done by a company, Rafferty, fine grading and milling. They will be performing the milling operation starting Monday, the 9th. And they expect to take at least till the 18th with weather, permitting for that type of work. So any weather that would hamper their ability to continue to mill will certainly add days to that. So between the 9th, Monday the 9th and 5/18, that should be the milling portion of this project. So, during that time, it's critical for motorists to, watch their speed and, leave in areas, from that milling process, so they have to use extreme caution when traveling 17. Not only, while they're, or during, most importantly, during construction, but at any time until the road is paved. With that said, the paving is to start, was to start, right after the milling was complete. It looks like there may be a little bit of a delay of about a week. We heard that today based on, the coverage requests for police coverage for safety. It looks like that the paving might not start until the end of the month, and that should last also about until June 18th, where the project should be complete, except for miscellaneous work that might deal with curbing and any other improvements that they have to make along the way. That paving portion of the work for DOT will be done by American Industries, all based on, bid work that's been done by the state. So it's just important for everybody to know that, that road definitely needs some restoration, and they'll be out there for the next month or a month and a half working on that road. So everybody should be aware. If you could take a detour, this most importantly, the work will be done during the day. So that work will start as early as 7 a.m. And talking to the contractors, they expect to commence, they finish the end of the day by 3 o'clock. They do have the opportunity to work till 5, but they usually don't exercise that extension unless, it's an emergency or they have some issues that they have to be out there to make the road safe. And hopefully they'll be moving off the road, as you usually see with highway jobs, by 3 p.m. So again, it's important for everybody to know that if you can take an alternative route, that's the best thing to do to avoid any delays. I'm sure there will be delays, but they will be working with not only our police department as well as Glastonbury on their end to make sure that there's safe travel, during this entire construction period.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions from Bob? All right. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you.
So that is it for communications and correspondence that I have. So we can move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience? And nothing in the chat? Okay. Then we will move on to the finance director's report. Tom, would you like to come up?
Good evening, all. So we have your April 30th budget reports are in front of you, the revenue and expense. So this first page in front of you is the revenue. So if you look under the first line, the 00010 property tax current, it's coming in good, it's coming in strong, 29,098.67. It's gonna be 9. So we have strong collections in the currents. Prior property taxes prior year, 0011. Collections are coming in strong in this area as well, 280,551. Motor vehicle supplement has come in over the budget at this point. 345,978. A lot of that's based on the values of the vehicles, used vehicles and new vehicles at the current time. So it's higher values than we had anticipated at the time of the budget. Account 00101, educational cost sharing. That we received our final payment for that of the year. It has come into the number that was adjusted based upon the state due to the excess cost adjustment that generally happens annually. So you'll have the number that they budget, and then there's usually an excess cost adjustment that goes into that factor. So that approximately $4,631,000 agreed to what the State Department of Education had said that we would receive on that. Middle of the page, workers' comp reimbursement 0311. That seemed to, thankfully, has leveled off as the injured employees have been able to come back to work, or they have left the district or the town. 00312 is conveyance tax. Continue to stay strong at this point. Continues to come in. There's, in this period, there was a sale, transfer of property for Axelrod, as well as there was a consolidation of the boatyard sales in that component. So that was a consolidation there of some of the boatyard sales on Riverview. And so there was some conveyances as well as recording fees. So you'll see a decent increase in the recording fees, and you'll see a decent increase in the conveyance taxes. Account 00324, police private duty. That one is that's a tough account for us. Is that we don't want to raise too much of the expense and too much of the revenue, so that we overinflate our operational activity. But when times are there's a lot of activity in those accounts, then we generally have to do a supplemental appropriation of revenue and expense. With the bridge project and with some of the heavy constructions on either Route 17 or Route 66, we've had to do that in the past few years. So in the upcoming meetings, we will bring that forward for revenues as well as on the expense side. But to the positive, it's coming in very strong. The officers are doing the work and performing the private duty work, and then we are getting reimbursed for those services. So that's a positive, but it does cause an increased number in revenue with an increased number of expense that we generally have to remedy with a supplemental appropriation of revenue expense. So we will work on that for you all. And then 00328, structural permits are still doing okay, but we have not had any large permit yet from Brainerd Place, but otherwise we are doing well in that line. The second page, the variances there we had kind of previously discussed. Anything else on revenue? Does anybody have any questions on revenue before I move to expenses? I'm going to jump to expenses. So this month in expenses, I'll have a little bit longer of a report, just as this is the April and May and June are the months where things start popping up as more of going over and under. So we'll go over some of these items. On page 2, for elections, we just we'll watch that throughout after the referendum. We'll, obviously those accounts are just utilized for items that are for elections or for or specific rules of the electoral issues within Connecticut. So we have to do what they require and pay the related fees on that. So we'll keep watching that, but that's one of those accounts where you have to do what is required. In the finance department, we have a rental use of buildings that is over budget. What that is it's the town usage of buildings, more or less, or from outside usage of the Board of Ed buildings that are not park and rec programs. So the Board of Ed charges more or less for the OT. So the Board of Ed and custodians that work on those type of matters get charged to the finance budget, and then revenue is therefore generated from those outside agencies if it's an outside agency, and it comes into property rental. If it's a town agency, there is no outside revenue, but it's a charge just to the town. And then on the flip side of that, if there is a park and rec program, it will get assigned to the park and rec program, a fund 12. So I just wanted to make you aware of that account. They had a play that used up a lot of funds early in the year. Page 3 in the technology, this is a budget we've talked about before on the part-time payroll. We have a 15-hour clerk that is helping the technology department as we look for an assistant technology coordinator. Also, this is the account where town tech program students are charged that work in the summer or work in May and June after school gets out, or in that area. So that's what that account is. And as well as 1302, that is generally the overtime for the technology coordinator for various virtual meetings, as such tonight, and various alarms of storms or other technological matters that cause them to come in, cause the director to come in, the technology coordinator outside of normal business hours. Page 4, service contracts. There are many different service contracts within the fire department, but the majority of the overage relates to HVAC repairs and matters that are at the various fire department locations. So that's what the overage is on that. We're seeing escalation costs through parts and materials in all areas, and HVAC is definitely an area that has that matter. Gas and diesel, obviously we budgeted a much lower price than what's out there. We've been on the float the whole year, so it's it's the differential add-on to the price that's part of the contracts. So that's you'll see throughout the budget there'll be overages, or there has been overages on those accounts. Heating fuel, we're seeing that with oil, as well as even natural gas was higher than it has been in the past. Page 5, this is police private duty. It's the account 14014. So as we have excess revenue, we also have excess expense here. So as you see, we're up to 227 of expense. We had spoken of previously of some of the HVAC matters and issues in that you'll see. So you're seeing that in some service contract overage here, and then gas and diesel. Obviously, when you have police private duty at high levels, the cars are running, and as well as gas prices are up, as well as we're at this point we'd be fully staffed with all officers. Running vehicles at this point. So, page 6 under 32 highway division, traffic signals. We've spoken of this in the past. This is the traffic situation. Mostly it was the signals with Middlesex Avenue and Main Street. That was had to be almost redesigned and re-repaired. Still waiting on the state to put hopefully the new light in and take that over. But in the interim, we have to fix it and repair it. So that's what the overage is in that line item. 6204, heating fuel, propane, as well as oil prices are definitely considerably higher than we had budgeted, and propane prices fluctuate. We did have some colder parts of the March time period, which was a little colder than the previous years, which caused it to be higher even, you know, as the prices were higher, as well as consumption would have been slightly higher. Page 7, the engineer, the global engineering budget is to the positive at this point. If you look at various line items, you will see there are some overages with the transitions within the planning and zoning department. We've had, obviously, we've utilized the in-town engineer and his expertise on certain matters, so that you'll see some of those overages, as well as there's also just overages in times in certain line items just for requirements that are either not funded or that just come up. We keep that budget. That budget stayed pretty constant and consistent, and it definitely depends on the activity of the year. You know, that's one of those ones we speak to that, you know, when we do budgeting, we should try to go up in it. Trying to, in attempts to keep the mill rate stabilized, we often don't. Thankfully, in the past few years, we've had many different projects that we've been able to charge, to legitimately charge the, appropriately charge the expenditures to those projects in a matter where they were, engineering costs that were associated with those projects. Page 8. As we talked about service contracts in HVAC matters, throughout the building, it seems like our HVAC equipment is getting aged. Certain products that we've had through the various buildings have a shelf life where it seems to be in this area now, where we're in that replacement phase when needed. But that's what, so you're seeing that in the service contracts. There's also other, obviously in the town buildings, there's many other items that are in that, but in this area it would definitely be, the overages would be resulting of HVAC matters throughout the various buildings in town. We're seeing a cost in 61006 building supplies. There's higher costs based upon just inflation of the cost, as well as there's been a demand of the supplies to make repairs and make improvements. So those are some of the areas, and then globally we will, the director continues to watch that budget. Page 9. Okay, page 9 on snow removal. The line item, and we've spoken of this during the budget cycle, overtime is a line item that we continually try to increase the money budgeted there, as is in a year where it can it can fluctuate. It can be a good year and you can not hit the 55, or you can be a year like this year where things fell on weekends and on holidays, and you hit a mark by 25,000 overage. Depending on whether the encumbered amount of salt is delivered, there's a possibility that there are some, we could finish break even to the positive, or if that salt is delivered, there will be a loss, depending on how those contractual arrangements are devised and the need. Page 940. There had been some transition within the planning department, where the planning full-time employee as well as the zoning officer had resigned almost at the same time, and building official had resigned a little bit earlier. There was a need to have some additional assistance in the department in the interim. The first selectmen worked with our engineer, worked with various agencies to try to obtain support and assistance in that. And there was a agreement with Teich Planning to come out and assist, and that's around $3,500 a month. So you'll see a purchase order in May's on line 3102 for roughly at least 3 months of that. So you'll see that, but hopefully, and we expect that line 1001 will cover the savings in that. But we have to also consider if we do hire a replacement for the full-time employee, you know, how that'll all work out. With 041, there has been savings in 041 because that individual has resigned. So there is some savings in this area. Page 11. Senior citizens budget. Service contracts is slightly over. There's some HVAC areas there. They also have software that's in this line item. There's the elevator repairs. So again, it's similarly close. The part-time budget, we had a period of time where there was a need to have some temporary help when the assistant wasn't there and there was a transition time. So that we don't expect too much more in that line item this year. Heating fuel has been up throughout the year. Hopefully, as we cool, heating fuel will not have to be as high for the remainder of the year, but something to watch. Okay, the next budget is municipal agent of the elderly. The municipal agent of the elderly is really a budget that takes into account we have buses that we share with Cromwell, we have a bus that we share with Cromwell, we have a van that we own, and we have I believe we have like a vehicle, like a Crown Vic or a Charger of some sort, that is utilized to help the citizens, the senior citizens with going to various either appointments or activities and sometimes different trips and things of that nature. Those get charged into this budget. The director stated that there has been an uptick in the activity in this account and continues to be a need. The gas and diesel will be up if the trips are up and the price of diesel is up. So that budget will continue to go into the negative, and the director and generally the first selectman will review this and monitor it, throughout and try to make those decisions of, does the need warrant the expenditure. Let's see, same page, 065, heating fuel, similar issues, higher costs. Page 12, unemployment. We have one employee that's been on unemployment, and we have to continue to pay unemployment throughout that period. Generally with a town, we don't generally have too much unemployment. So often that's a positive account, and we don't pay unemployment as it occurs. You pay it as somebody takes unemployment. So in this instance, this person got the unemployment and they're getting paid. And we have to reimburse the state for that. So that's how that works. So that's what that account is. 085, debt service. So we had the new lease this year. It's still ongoing. We were required to make our first payment in May. A lot of times when we do these leases, we were able to get them in, get everything in, get it closed out, and everything's closed out by the first payment. In this instance, we couldn't do that. We were more or less closed out, and we were closed out on the Chromebooks and the Board of Ed component of it. but on the town side, it isn't, we're still working on getting some of those, equipment in. And, so we made the payment on the amortization schedule as it was set. And, in this instance, principal was higher than interest, but it's in a positive to us and that's what you'd rather pay more principal than interest. So, although there's an over and a shortage in that line, in that budget, that's why that is. It wasn't a known, it was because we did the lease during the fiscal year. That's all I got right now.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you, guys.
And can you stay for the fourth quarter transfers? We'll see you back. The next item on the agenda is the Complete Streets Group. Now, you might remember them from the previous meeting. The Complete Streets Group has come up with a pace car challenge that they presented to us last time. And Michelle in the First Selectwoman's office put this brochure together. And this is the pledge that we just sent to the Complete Streets Group for their review that residents can sign up for. And I do want to mention, because I did hear some comments from residents on this, and I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that this program is not meant to deputize Portland residents into monitoring others' traffic. It is only to monitor your own traffic and to obey, for you personally, to obey the speed limit and to be aware of your speed and others while you drive. So it's really meant to help make our roads safer, but it is not meant for policing others driving, and we don't want any road rage incidents with this at all. So this is completely a volunteer program, and it's really just to make yourself aware and to be mindful of your speed and the safety of others while you're on the road. So there was a request at the last meeting for up to $200 if the town would be willing to fund the stickers or the decals of the pace car program. And I thought that, we could discuss that this evening. I did look into the budget, and there are some funds available in the First Selectmen's budget under program services, I believe would be fitting for this. So I would entertain, if the board is willing and would like to participate in this, I would entertain a motion to allocate up to $200 into fund, and I have the number here if you'd like to. I don't know if you want to make the motion, but this would be the fund, if you want to.
Okay. I will make a motion to contribute $200, up to $200, you said? Up to $200 to the Complete Streets Pace Car Challenge Program, coming from the First Selectmen Program Services budget number 01-002-000-88001.
Thank you, Ralph. Is there a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? So I will say that there was talk at the last meeting that the police department would have the decals. And I was talking today with Michelle, and we were thinking that it might make more sense to have the stickers at the First Selectman's office, because we would then be able to collect the pledge forms there. And so the Complete Streets Group could pick up the pledge forms also at their convenience. So I don't have an answer as to where they'd be. Maybe they'll be at both. You can get a sticker at the police station or the first selectman's office, but that's something we thought of just to make it easier, because otherwise the residents would have to mail in their form to Complete Streets. So we thought it would make it easier. So there's no more discussion. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor of allocating up to $200 for the Pace Car program stickers to program services under the first selectman's budget signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you all. All right, next up, we have fourth quarter transfers. We have the Board of Education School Lunch Fund. And now this comes up every year, I believe, just about. And Tom, our finance director, is here, and I'm hoping that Tom can come up and provide some detail as far as what the fourth quarter transfer for the Board of Education School Lunch Fund is.
All right, so school lunch fund transfer. In Fund 5 of our enterprise financial statements, we have a fund called the School Lunch Fund. Currently, the management company that runs it is Sodexo. There's funding provided in via revenues from sale of, in this year everything's free, but in years where it's not, there's revenues that come in through free and reduced lunch from the federal government. There's monies that come in from the federal government for breakfast. There's monies that come in from the state, a state public match on some items. There's some healthy community funds that come in on state money. There are payments that come in from people that pay at lunch, or a la carte meals, and as well as catering, and some vending. So throughout the year, that fund operates, and the Board of Ed budgeted, generally budgets some monies to go into this fund. In the previous years, the fund has operated, recently has operated in a loss position due to just economic times and quantities of food. But this year, they are still going through the review of the operations. It seems like it's a little bit more of a positive matter this year, but those funds were allocated. So the resolution in front of you says it's allocated. It approves up to a $35,000 transfer up to. One of the areas that they've been also trying to do for numerous years is improve and purchase serving lines for the various schools. They need to be updated. Definitely the three Gildersleeve, we have done some of it, but Valley View and the Biz definitely require updated serving lines. So that's one of the things that they're going to be to try to attempt to complete this fiscal year. If they are, then they will utilize some of the cash that's within that fund. Therefore, they would consider to transfer in funds in this matter. So, long, confusing story short, the transfer is in the years where there's deficit in positions. The Board of Ed is required to put in the funds to make the fund have an operating position that's appropriate. So they do that when the funds are available and when budgeted. And this is that approval for that transfer. This is, anytime they move money from a different fund, like a Fund 5 or Fund 11, those do come to y'all for approval.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks.
With that said, would someone like to read and move the motion?
I'll make the motion. That we approve the following resolution, Board of Selectmen, dated May 4th, 2022. Fourth quarter transfers, Board of Education School Lunch Fund. Whereas the Board of Education has budgeted funds within its general fund budget to transfer to the School Lunch Fund. And whereas the Board of Education is requesting a transfer of said funds to the School Lunch Fund. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby approves a transfer of up to, but no more than $35,000 to the School Lunch Fund, entitled Fund 5, from available fiscal year 2022 Board of Education General Fund appropriations.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor of the fourth quarter transfer for the Board of Education School Lunch Fund, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. We have one more fourth quarter transfer. The next one is on the Board of Education Building Maintenance Fund. Tom?
Yeah, so, there's as you know, there's a town building maintenance fund, it's Fund 11. There's a town side to that and a Board of Ed side to that. The town side puts, we put a contribution into that annually. Off the top of my head, I want to say it's either, I think it's 40 and 40. And then those funds can get utilized for building maintenance matters. There's going to be maintenance issues up to and capital type of improvements that are maintenance issues. So we generally allow the board to contribute into this fund annually. Any of their overages, if they do have them, at this, they're asking at this point if it's up to 100,000. If they have up to 100,000, which they're not saying they have up to 100,000, but we ask for that as they work through the year and close purchase orders and things of that nature. If they have it, it's good. So they list some of the projects there that are possible, but not excluded to that. Recently, there's been some projects for HVAC that have been ordered for some items within that fund. They're very, very helpful and useful as they need to be. So it's a good way for the board to be able to put money in there aside. And this Fund 11 is a non-lapsing fund, so when the funds go there, then they continue to stay into that fund. So and then are utilized appropriately throughout the year. So good utilization of funding, and that's the request.
Thank you, Tom. All right. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion and read the resolution. Resolution, Board of Selectmen, Town of Portland, Connecticut, May 4th, 2022, fourth quarter transfers, Board of Education Building Maintenance Fund. Whereas there is a need for various repair projects at the various school locations, and whereas the repairs, improvements, projects may include, but are not limited to, HVAC repairs, upgrades district-wide, security repairs, upgrades district-wide, and exterior painting and interior painting, wallpaper removal district-wide. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby approves the transfer of up to, but no more than $100,000 to the Board of Education Maintenance Fund account, Fund 11, from available fiscal year 2022 Board of Education General Fund appropriations.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, John. Any discussion? All those in favor of the fourth quarter transfer for the Board of Education Building Maintenance Fund signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. The next item, thank you, Tom. The next item on tonight's agenda is the agreement between the Town of Portland and Murphy Road Recycling. You'll remember that the town had looked at options as far as our solid waste, municipal solid waste, and as MIRA has been dwindling in members, we were looking at options for the future, and we've been working with Murphy Road Recycling on a 5-year agreement between the Town of Portland and Murphy Road, and we believe that we have a very good deal for the Town of Portland. We will, as of July 1, with this agreement, we can enter into a contract, and I can sign a contract, and we've already opted out of MIRA. We have done that, and this would be the next step to make sure that our municipal solid waste has a home after July 1st. And so, does anyone have any questions? I have the agreement. Our attorney and the attorney for Murphy Road have gone back and forth. I've been advised that this is a good deal for the town. I know I spoke with our Public Works Director earlier today on this, and Bob is in complete agreement. This makes sense for the Town of Portland, and I think it's a better deal than we had with MIRA. It has we're locked in for $110 per ton for this year, and $115 per year for next year, and it's a very competitive rate, and it's much lower than
what we had.
much lower than we had before. So we are saving money with this.
And it's the numbers that you quoted the last time we talked about it?
It is. Nothing has changed with that. So if anyone would like to read, and I have the contract if you want to take a look at it, it is available, but nothing has changed. And so does anyone have any questions on this? There is a resolution before you. I do want to highlight that because of the time commitment, we were planning on staying with MIRA up until recently. And so you may recall that one of the reasons why we second-guessed, or so I don't want to say second-guessed, but we looked back into this was because one of our third-party haulers had come to us concerned that they would have to then bring their waste farther, and they would have to then raise rates on Portland customers. And so when that happened, we decided to take another look and say, hey, is this the best option for the town? So we looked into this, and we ended up speaking with Murphy Road and with many other towns. I know, and Tom spoke with the finance directors and public works directors I spoke with Manchester. I think Tom spoke with Glastonbury, Rocky Hill, Newington. And so the deal that we have with Murphy Road is the same numbers and the same agreement that Rocky Hill, Newington, and Weathersfield all got, who went out to bid together as a group. So this is a very competitive, these are very competitive numbers. And in addition to that, we also have the same amount of revenue that we can get for corrugated cardboard that Glastonbury has, who also went out to bid and have a contract with Murphy Road. So we did do our homework, but we are waiving the bidding process in light of the shortness of time. So we don't have time to formally go out to bid, but we have checked with other municipalities, and we have the same agreement and the same numbers that they have as well.
And above and beyond Murphy Road recycling, Mira was just, as I recall, we discussed last time, Mira's customer list was dwindling.
Big, yeah.
So, I mean, it didn't pay for us to be there anyway. It sounds like you've done your homework. I think this
We
is-
did a lot of homework
I
on
think this
this.
is the right deal.
So, all right. Well, with that said, would someone like to make a motion?
I guess I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Rob.
Resolution, Board of Selectmen, Town of Portland, Connecticut, May 4th, 2022. Agreement between the Town of Portland and Murphy Road Recycling. Whereas based upon a review of private market entities to manage its municipal solid waste disposal and recycling services, the town selected Murphy Road Recycling, LLC, MRR, of 143 Murphy Road, Hartford, Connecticut, 06114, and has begun negotiations to enter into a formal agreement with MRR. And whereas the proposed agreement is for 5 years, commencing on July 1st, 2022, and terminating on June 30th, 2027. Now therefore be it resolved that in the best interest of the town pursuant to Section 1208, subsection 7 of the Portland Charter, the Board of Selectmen hereby waives the bidding requirements of Section 1208 of the Portland Charter as it pertains to utilizing Murphy Road Recycling, LLC, as the vendor to provide municipal solid waste disposal and recycling services. And be it further resolved that the First Selectman is hereby authorized to, if applicable, execute and deliver any documents and to take such other actions upon and subject to such terms and conditions that the First Selectman and the Board of Selectmen may deem appropriate and in the best interest of the town in order to effectuate and/or further the above matter.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, John. Any further discussion on this? I'm going to call for the question. All those in favor of the entering into the agreement between the Town of Portland and Murphy Road Recycling signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda are appointments to boards and commissions. I think there's an appointment tonight.
Yes, what is the official title
I
of?
believe the official title is the Riverfront Access Committee.
Okay. For the Riverfront Access Committee, we have a nomination for Rick Shar.
Okay, so you're making a motion?
I'll
And-
second it.
All right, thank you, Sean. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
And that same token, I have a nomination for the Riverfront Access Committee. I would like to nominate Lou Pear.
Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sean. Any discussion? I just want to say thank you to both Rick and Lou before, they were on the Board of Selectmen, and now they're still working on behalf of the town, even though they're off the board, and I sincerely appreciate all of their help with this, and this is going to be a great committee, so thank you to them. All those in favor of Lou Pear for the Riverfront Access Committee?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Great.
Okay, so I have
Oh, that's right.
couple more nominations. So for the Portland Housing Authority, we recently had someone that dropped off of it, so I would like to put forward Dan Whedon as a replacement to take the full-time position on that committee.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, John.
Weeden.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Dan Whedon to the Housing Authority?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
And the second one is to cover, I know we moved people around a couple weeks ago with regards to Planning and Zoning Commission, and that left open an alternate position, and I would like to put forward Ken Kearns for that alternate position.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor of Ken Kearns as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, any others?
That is it.
All right, thank you. So moving on to refunds of excess payments. Would someone like to go through the list?
Make a motion for refund of excess payment for Vanessa M. Ryan in the amount of $5.63.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of refunding Vanessa M. Ryan in the amount of $5.63 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment for Thomas D. Gagliano Jr., $283.98.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment for Thomas D. Gagliano Jr., $279.26.
Second it.
All those in favor, or any, yeah, all those in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment for Thomas D. Gagliano Jr., $289.18.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment for Core Logic, $3,695.66.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion refund of excess payment, Nissan Infiniti LT, $223.89.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, JCG Properties LLC, $5,945.40.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, Bet A Genic, $339.60.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next up, we have status reports. Ralph, would you like to?
Yeah, I only have the one for the library, and actually I couldn't unfortunately attend the meeting, but I know I read through the minutes, and they continue to do their hard work to prepare for the event that they're going to have in a few weeks to recognize the 127th anniversary of the library. So they're working hard on that, meeting regularly. And they have a couple grants that are available that they're working on pulling some numbers together for as well. Jan's working hard on those, so we'll have more information with regards to those later on.
Thanks. And the date on that is June 12th, I believe, right? June
11th, that's
June
it.
11th. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks. That's it for me. Everything's coming next week, all the meetings.
Okay. Other status reports?
The school facilities committee met. They're still going through the long process. They have a lot of plans they're looking at, and they're just moving forward with that. It's gonna be a long time.
Any other status reports? All right, seeing none, we'll move to public comment. Anyone in the audience?
Just while we're talking about the library. I'm Laurel Steinhauser. I'm chair of the library board in Portland. I just wanted to say thanks, Ralph, for updating on what we're planning for this special event, and to share that today, May 4th, is the 127th, oh, you have this on, anniversary of the library. We were getting excited to celebrate the 125th anniversary 2 years ago when the pandemic hit and we had to postpone our plans. So we've been very excited to be able to have a community event this year. It's Saturday, June 11th. I'd love to extend an invitation to you all to come and join us and to the community. It's going to be a really fun day, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We've got live music, food, bounce house, face painting, art classes, lots of community organizations coming to participate. Mr. Pelton over here will be doing some karate demos. it's going to be a really fun chance for the community to come together. So I hope that you all will join us that day.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment in the chat? Okay, so, Laurel, thank you for that, because under Board of Selectmen general and informal discussion, I should have added this to the agenda earlier, but we do have a proclamation to the Portland Public Library on their 127th anniversary, and we have a proclamation certificate. Would a member of the Board of Selectmen like to read it?
I'll do it.
All right, thanks, John.
Proclamation to commemorate Portland Public Library 127th anniversary. Whereas the Portland Public Library is celebrating their 127th anniversary on May 4th, 2022, of which was officially opened on May 4th, 1895, with 800 volumes and 77 subscribers. And whereas in 1848, the Portland Lyceum was founded, loaning books and providing a location for members to hold debates. In 1884, the Portland Library, as a subscription library with 350 volumes, was operating from the office of H.J. Fisk, a dentist with $1 per year membership fee. And whereas Horace B. Buck, a Worcester, Massachusetts businessman formerly of Portland, bestowed a total of $5,000 to build a new library to be given his name. The town contributed $1,000, and quarry owners donated the brownstone to add a wing to the town hall at 265 Main Street to house the library. Unfortunately, Mr. Buck did not live to see the new library. The Buck Library grew with 2 additions and the establishment of a children's room. And whereas a referendum was held on January 16, 1980, in which the townspeople voted in favor for the construction of a new library. The H. Wales Lines firm was selected to construct it, and on August 18, 1980, the formal groundbreaking took place at 20 Freestone Avenue. And whereas the contents of the old library were moved to the new building on January 16, 1982, 2 years from the day of the referendum, enthusiastic volunteers and the men of Company C, 1st Battalion, 169 Infantry of the Connecticut National Guard moved 60,000 books and equipment in approximately 4 hours. The Portland Library opened to the public on Monday, January 25th, 1982. And whereas the Portland Library is a public-funded institution dedicated to the common good by serving the informational, educational, cultural, and recreational needs of the community and encouraging its patrons in the lifelong pursuit of learning and personal growth. The library will be responsive to the needs of its diverse users, commit itself to the highest ideals of library service and the principles of intellectual freedom, and provide a welcoming meeting place for the community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Ryan J. Curley, First Selectman of the Town of Portland, Connecticut, do hereby pay tribute to the 127th anniversary of the Portland Public Library. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Town of Portland, Connecticut to be affixed on this 4th day of May, 2022, signed Ryan J. Curley, First Selectman, Town of Portland, Connecticut, Board of Selectmen John H. Dillon, Michael S. Hernandez, Robert W. Hetrick Jr., Sean P. Manning, Michael A. Pelton, and Ralph R. Zampano. Pretty cool.
Thank you, John. So, should we make a motion to approve this proclamation?
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation as read by John.
I'll second that.
Thank you both. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. And I have one more announcement. Our Youth and Family Services Director, Jesse Ravicki, had emailed me to let us know that May 8th through 14th is National Prevention Week. And that's a week which focuses on raising awareness about the importance of substance abuse prevention and positive mental health. And Youth and Family Services Facebook page will be posting things all next week. This Is Us Portland is the prevention council that we are looking for people who are interested in supporting this type of work. We also have Victoria Adams, the tobacco prevention coordinator at SCSU, coming in for a presentation on vaping on May 18th at 7 p.m. in the high school library. So thank you to Jesse Ravicki, and I just wanted to pass that along as well. Any other items for general and informal discussion? Okay, seeing none. I don't have anything for follow-up items, but you will notice that the review of the policy on fixing real property assessments is listed on there. And that's something that I know we all want to take a look at, and I think we can get there once the budget is passed and over with. And with that, I would like to remind everyone that our budget referendum is Monday, May 9th, from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. at Portland Middle School, which is 93 High Street. The polling location will be in the band room, I have confirmed with our registrar of voters. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Bobby. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.